Now, I always say that imports are the flip side of the same, of the exports coin. So whatever happens to exports, exactly the opposite happens to imports. Now, on that basis, interest rate falls, currency, same thing, depreciates. So that's the same. But if export prices fall, as we've said here, import prices rise. Now, if you don't understand why, it doesn't matter. Just learn it. Reduce the interest rate, currency depreciates, import prices rise. Don't worry about the mechanics of it. Because ultimately, when you commit this to paper in the examiner ain't going to know whether or not you understand it, as long as you've written it properly. So reduce the interest rate, currency depreciates, import prices rise. In other words, the opposite of what happens to the export. And you had demand. Demand decreases, yeah. Demand for imports falls. Again, the opposite of the exports. Exports increases, imports falls. Now, if you might be sat there and you think, oh, I don't understand how the reduction in the interest rate makes the currency depreciate. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Just learn this as if you were learning the AD equation, C to the I to the G to the X minus M. Just learn it. Reduce the interest rate. Oh, what does that do? Currency depreciates. Oh, what does that do? Export price falls. Oh, what does that do? Export demand goes up. And you don't even need to learn the imports one. As long as you remember that one, you just need to know it's the opposite. Import prices up, demand falls. You understand that, Cresswell? Sorry? Excuse me? Right, okay. So let's now look here at what we're saying. We're saying if you reduce the interest rates, what happens to C, Thomas? As in bigger or smaller? Speak up? Or a thumbs up? Joke. Right, okay. C will increase. Because we've already said households will spend more because they have more disposable income and they will save less. I. What's going to happen there? Emily? Up. G. What's going to happen there? Emily? Okay, so we're just going to leave that one. Exports. Increase. Imports. Alana? Right. Okay. Now I'm going to put some numbers to this. So I'm going to say AD1 equals, so I'm going to put just very rudimentary numbers to this, okay? So 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 minus 5. So I'm saying C is 10, I is 10, G is 10, and net exports is 5. Now, marvellous, when you total that equation, what do you get? Speak up. 35. And I'm going to say AD1 is when the economy is in a recession. And so what does the Bank of England do to get out of a recession, Ethan? Excuse me? Thank you. Right, so to get out of a recession, we've just been doing this for an hour, ladies and gentlemen. Right. To get out of a recession, the Bank of England will lower the base rate. Now, consequently, that will have an impact on AD. So we're going to do AD too. So what's going to happen to, give me a value now for consumption, Sam Tong, now that the Bank of England has lowered the base rate. Any value. Excuse me? Thanks, Thomas. Put him right there. Right, and why is it more? Because of lower, right, so we lower the interest rates. We know that the effect of that is to increase the value of consumption. So I'm going to say it goes to 20, okay? When the Bank of England lowers the base rate, what happens to investment? Right, so give me a value. 20 again. 10 doesn't change. Okay, now I want some numbers on both of these. Right, Jimbo, give me a number for exports, please. 15, why? Because the demand for exports goes up. Okay, I'm going to call it 40. Give me a value, Alana, please, for imports. 3, why? Because the imports go down. Why do they go down? Because of that link, interest rates down, currency depreciates, import price up, demand for import falls, yes? Okay, -3. Okay, marvellous, total it. $87. Okay. Now, a final thing to do on this would be then to draw a diagram to explain to the examiner what's happening here. And you would have to draw an ASAD diagram, because this is macro, remember, not micro. So we'd be looking at an ASAD diagram. So that's what we're going to do. Remember, it's price level, not price. Price level in macro. And real output, not just output or quantity, real output. And the abbreviation for real output is Y. Not O, not Q, it's Y. Okay, so what does an AS curve look like? Sorry? What does an aggregate supply curve look like? Well, if I said to you in micro, that's what a supply curve looks like. So what does an aggregate supply curve look like? It's from here to here. Is that what you're saying? That's what you said, isn't it? Top left to bottom right. Speak up. What? Sorry? Here? Well, so that's what you said this time, isn't it? Okay. Well, yes. So that's your micro supply. So that's a macro supply curve. That's they're exactly the same, except the label is different. So that's an AS curve. Yeah.
When would you draw the line?
Yes, I know. Right. So we're going to come to that. Yeah. The long run aggregate supply curve. Yeah. We're just keeping it simple at the minute, Samaya. Aren't we, Jake? And then we're going to draw AD1 and AD2. Now, AD1 has quite a low value for aggregate demand, not much demand, and then a bigger value for AD2. So you just do, there's AD1, and then here's AD2 to the right. Because the values are bigger, 35 then gone up to 87. And we would need to note what's going on here to Y1 and Y2. So we've got nice expansion there. Expansionary monetary policy. So we've got this Y1, so the level of output in the economy has gone up to Y2. Now what's that going to help, Neve, what's that going to help reduce in the economy? If you're producing more goods, what do you need to make the goods? What do firms need to make things? Right, okay. So you're going to need more people. So what's going to lower in the economy then? If firms are going to say, hey, you come and work for me, you come and work for me, you come and work for me, what's going to fall? Unemployment, exactly. So this is great news for the economy, this expansionary monetary policy, because we're going to see unemployment falling. Definitely what we're going to see happen to this side of the economy. It's gone up, hasn't it? Because, in fact, the economy was a size of like 30, it could be 35 billion or trillion or whatever. So it was worth 35, now it's worth 87. So it's gone from that size of an economy to that size of an economy. It's gone from Y1 to Y2. The economy is getting bigger. So we've got growth as well. This is tremendous. This expansionary monetary policy business. Wow, this is amazing. Got economic growth as well. Wow, wowee. Got unemployment, we've got growth. Any negatives, Stephanie, that you can see here? So this is great, unemployment and growth. Unemployment down, economic growth up. Yeah. Thank you. A bit of a downside. The price level's gone up from P1 to P2. Now, Marewa, and what's another name for price level going up? Inflation. Yeah, we've just been doing it for like 6 weeks. So unfortunately, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, these are, and a very specific word here, trade-offs. So you're trading off falling unemployment and growth, and you're saying to yourselves, right, okay, well, we'll have to accept a bit more inflation in the economy. So P1 to P2, we've got some inflation then growing in the economy, which is not a good thing. So inflation is up. So here we have, there's a trade-off between, on the one hand, falling unemployment and rising growth. We're trading that off against, number two, the fact that we're going to have rising inflation. So it's like, in everything in life, you can't have everything.